creating tables in Microsoft Word is it's really pretty efficient and pretty easy to do. The key is that you have a table already sketched out in advance so that you know what information needs to be included. So once you know, we're going to do a little manipulating to get the table to conform to APA. So first off, you will go to Insert Table, and you're going to specify the number of rows and columns that are needed. Add 2 additional rows to what you think you're going to need so that you can include your table number in your table label as part of the table itself. So I'm just going to start with kind of a random number because this is an illustration only, and I don't actually have real data right now. So this is going to be my table. And what I'm going to recommend that you do is to go ahead and in the first row, merge the cells together by right-clicking after you select, and then type in your table number. And then in the second row, do the same thing, merge the cells together, and then that's going to be your actual table title. Now, according to APA, that needs to be in italics, so I just italicized, and I'm just going to say table title goes here. All of the main words begin with a capital letter. It can wrap around if you need for it to wrap around. Then in your second or third row, you would have your subheads. So I'm just going to put N, M, F. Actually, I'm going to go to Draw Table. I'm going to add a couple more columns just because if I would be including this information, I would also want to, and I'm going to go back to home here, I would want to have a P, and I'd want to have my my effect size, which would in this case be partial eta square. So I'm going to insert a symbol, and I want to do that again. And then I'm going to go to my home font and change this to a superscript. So these values would need to be in italics according to APA. Right now I'm not going to worry about centering or anything. I do need to change the P back to small p. I need to change this N to little n's because that would be my subgroups. So I'm just going to type in group 1. Let's just type in values. Let's just say this is let's see, it's point 1, 2. And then let's say I have group 2. And actually, I'm going to add an additional, I'm going to go up to Table Tools and say Draw Table. I'm going to add standard deviation as well because I want to illustrate how you can align the decimals. So I'm going to go back. Whoop. Let me go ahead and save it real quickly. I'm going to add the standard deviation here. And let's just say this is 4.35, and let's just say this is 10.79. All right, group 3. All right, so if you are making a table that includes information about statistical analyses, there may be some cells that don't have answers. Okay, so this is generally what I would do to begin and to set things up. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the column widths by positioning my cursor on the vertical lines, and I'm just going to click and drag, kind of eyeballing things to where they look good and reasonable in terms of the column widths. There's no set criteria, and sometimes you might want to determine whether changing the column width would allow you to not have text wrap around in your first column and so on. Okay, then these column labels right here I want to center, so I'm going to select them, go back to home, do my center alignment, and then in the end column it's okay to center align these because all of the values have the same number of digits. The M and the standard deviation, I have some with 4 values, some with 3 values, so currently the decimals aren't lined up, and if I center them they will remain unaligned, so I'm going to keep those the way they are just for now. And then these columns I'm going to go ahead and center the information there. So in the mean column, if I select those, and what I'm going to do is set a decimal tab. So the default tab is a left tab. Over here, if you click that left tab, it changes to an upside down T. Click it again, it changes to a right tab. Click it again, and now it's an upside down T with a decimal. That's your decimal tab. So when you see that, you can come over here and click on your ruler wherever you want the decimal to be located, and it automatically positions it in that spot. You can click and drag and move it to a different spot if you want to, so you're just going to kind of eyeball it to make sure everything looks good within that column. Same thing happens here. I've got my decimal tab already selected, so I'm just going to click inside that column, align it where I want it, and then it's all set. So now the only other thing you need to do is turn your column or your borders on and off as appropriate. So I like to start by selecting the entire table, and then I'm going to go up to my border option and I'm going to turn everything off to begin. The only borders that APA wants you to have are horizontal borders above and below the column headers. So I'm going to turn on the bottom border there, turn on the top border there, and then the other border that it wants you to have is one underneath your entire table, so I will turn the bottom border on for that. There's no vertical borders that should be displayed. This is just it. So you could save that. You can go in, you can add more columns or realign or do what you need to do to edit later on, but that's basically the gist of creating tables.